This is the G.I. Joe Classified Series Retro Carded Conrad Duke Hauser, the first sergeant of G.I. Joe squad. To me, he's always been the leader of the Joes, watching the G.I. Joe cartoons back in the 80s, and I'm just so excited to get one that is show accurate, G1 styled show accurate Duke. Now, I picked up this figure from Amazon.com, and because I got it off of their free shipping promo, you can expect there is going to be some some damaging on the packaging. There's a little bit of creasing here and there, and this is what happened. What they did was they put some sheets of brown paper under and on top, just sheets of brown paper, thinking it would protect the figure. But that it would have worked, but what they did was they packed it in a box that was 3 millimeters shorter than the length of the card back, and as such, the card back was bent this way. So, well, you can't you can't blame them for trying, right? But most of the card back, I am shocked, did survive the shipping process. There's no dings and minor dings and dents here, but hardly any major dents on the card except for these creases right here. I think overall it survived the trip, and I'm just very excited to have him in near pristine condition. Clamshell is intact, no cracking here and there. Let's get this guy out of packaging. Yo! And here is Conrad Duke Hauser out of the box, and this figure looks absolutely phenomenal. Oh my goodness, this figure looks just terrific. It takes you back to the 80s. The way he looks, it's so classic Duke. I just love it. He's full of accessories, great articulation. The sculpt is fantastic. This is an absolutely amazing figure. Let's take a closer look at the details of this new G.I. Joe Classified Series Retro Carded Duke. Head to toe, wearing his helmet, the figure stands at about 16.5 centimeters tall, or about 6.5 inches tall. And for comparisons, here is Duke with Snake Eyes and General Hawk. He's about the same height as General Hawk with his helmet on, with both their helmets on. And incidentally, what I do appreciate about this new Duke figure is the helmet. Unlike this soft PVC material that they used for General Hawk's helmet, it's actually made of a material that's a little bit stiffer. It's still soft, but it holds its shape, and it does sit very, very nicely on Duke's head. Onto the details of this figure. I really, really love how this figure came out, especially the box art. You can literally hear Michael Bell's voice by just looking at this character and this box art saying, "Yo, Joe!" And I'm just so taken back to the 80s. The nostalgia of this figure is just tremendous. Oh man, it takes me back to my childhood days when G.I. Joe was my go-to toy and action figure set, together with Transformers when I was growing up as a kid. This set just takes me back there. Now the figure comes with a base, just like most retro carded figures. This has the G.I. Joe star, which very nicely embossed on that base. 2 pegs, very cool. He comes with an extra pair of fists. The gripping fists are on stock with the figure, and these are some punching fists where you can replace the gripping hands with. He can knock out the lights of Cobra Commander. Now, as I mentioned earlier, the figure did come with a helmet. It has a visor, and this is reminiscent of the old I guess the old G1, the old 80s O-ring figure. Instead of having a clear visor, I think that old helmet had an opaque silver visor. Somebody let me know in the comments. Because if I remember correctly, I did have a Duke O-ring figure growing up as a kid, but I didn't have the US version. I had the Japanese version, strangely enough. And I think back in the 80s, there was an agreement with Takara that Hasbro would bring in Transformers to the US, and then Takara would bring bring in G.I. Joe figures to Japan. I think that was the whole idea back then. I could be wrong, but I think my dad on his trips to Japan did bring us a few G.I. Joe pieces. One of them was Duke. I think I got the Sky Striker, the Japan version, but man, those are all gone right now. But okay, this figure looks so much like that old G1 or O-ring Duke. This is the Duke we've been waiting for from the classified series. He's his old khaki shirt with his army green pants. I mean, this is really, really the classic look of Duke. Now, quickly, just the head sculpt, if before we go to the accessories. I could be wrong, but I think it's a brand new sculpt. I've been looking at photos of the old classified series, the first and second version of Duke. I no longer have those figures, but I think it's a different sculpt. It may be similar, but I think the hair is slightly different. The eyebrows are slightly different. I don't know. I've been checking around the internet, but as far as I can tell, I think it's a new head sculpt. The body mold, as far as I can tell, I think hardly reuses any bits and pieces from any figure. Maybe the knees, maybe the boots, and maybe the hands, but the torso, the hips, the sleeves, I think they're pretty new. Again, I could be wrong. I don't have a lot of classified figures anymore. Somebody let me know in the comments if this is a brand new mold or which ones have been recycled. Now, the designers at Hasbro said that they tried to make the retro carded figures look as close to the originals as possible, but done in the 1/12 scale, obviously. So he does have his machine gun, a World War II styled machine gun with a removable magazine. And I think this is how the old O-ring figures gun looked like. I could be wrong again, but as my memory if my memory serves me correctly, I think it's the exact same style, and I thought it was pretty cool. Would have been nice if they'd done it in silver or black, but green is okay. And part of that aesthetic and accessories that came with the O-ring, he did have the binoculars. I think this was a staple of that old figure, so I'm glad they put that in. He's got his bandolier strap. He's got his backpack with the shovel. I think that's all core G1 aesthetic. What they did add, I think, with this figure is he's now got a pistol, which looks like a laser pistol. If I'm not mistaken, it doesn't look like a World War II pistol or a 44. It feels like it's a laser pistol. And then he has this. This was really nice. This is the standard rifle that most of the Joes had on the show, which I think a lot of the O-ring figures back in the 80s never had. I could be wrong again, but I had a lot of G.I. Joe figures, but I never encountered a figure that had the classic rifle they used on the show. So this is great. I'm glad Hasbro is finally doing some fan service with the weapons. Non-Nerf looking weapons, but actual G.I. Joe looking weapons. Now, unfortunately, the weapons are made of some not super pliable, but not super soft, but a little bit pliable material. I don't know if it's a safety issue or them just saving money, but the weapons are made of soft plastic. Not as soft as Lowlight's rifle, which is great. So it has some sturdiness to it, but it can be a little soft. So be careful when you store these things, that make sure that the weapons lie flat in the bin, or if they get stored this way, they're going to end up being bent for a long time, and you'll have to do the ice cold and boiling water method. The other thing that they added is his hunting knife, which stores on a scabbard or a sheath on his boot. So I thought this was pretty cool. It's a nice little Tonto knife, I think. But yeah, those are the new things they added, and obviously the holster for his pistol. As far as the sculpt goes, man, I love the sculpt. It's simple, it's classic. You got a gold emblem right there. You got the U.S. flag right there. You got really, really nice painted and sculpted head sculpt. Great body sculpt, the standard classified series sculpt. And as far as articulation goes, the neck is on a triple ball joint. You got a ball joint up here, midsection, and at the base of the neck. Ball jointed midsection of the torso, ball jointed waist. He's got some butterfly shoulder hinges.
Arms can go in and out, forward and backward 360, bicep swivel. Elbows are pinless double hinged joints. The wrists are on swivels and they go in and out for the fists and this left fist, but the right hand goes up and down. He's got some drop down ball joint hips. The legs can kick up, forward, backward, go do the splits. He's got a thigh swivel, pinless double hinged knee joints. He's got a boot cut or a calf swivel. Ankles have hinges that allow the foot to move up and down and have the rocker tilt. As far as the paint apps on this figure, spot on. Hardly any issues. The face is painted beautifully. The whatever little paint apps he has on his belts, on his shoulders, on the bandolier, everything looks great. I love this new classic look for Duke. And so some final thoughts on this G.I. Joe Classified Series retro carded Duke. Oh man, I absolutely loved this figure. It was such a treat. The figure takes you back to the 80s because of its aesthetic, its classic look, all those weapons, accessories, the overall general sculpt, look and feel of the figure just takes you back to the 80s when you were playing with your old O-ring G.I. Joes. Oh man, this is the Duke figure we've been waiting for the Classified Series line. If you're a big fan of the Classified Series, you've got to get yourself this Duke. Duke was like Optimus Prime of the G.I. Joes. I mean, you gotta have him. He was one of those figures that, apart from Snake Eyes, he was one of those that you had to get. And I was growing up as a kid. It took me a while to get the O-ring, but when I finally got him, I was so happy. I wanted the leader of the squad, and now we have that classic looking Duke. I could not be happier. This figure ticks off everything I needed and wanted in a classic looking Duke for the Classified Series line, and obviously it is going to get a 10 out of 10. Let me know in the comment section what you guys think of this G.I. Joe Classified Series retro carded First Sergeant Conrad Duke Hauser. Hit that notification bell so you never miss out on any of my latest video reviews, and if it's your first time here, please subscribe. Thanks for watching.